How to prevent having a second stroke. You see I have my glasses on. What does that mean? Well, information, education, because I want to read while I'm talking to you. And you're already sitting here going, well, I've had one stroke. How can I stop having another? I'm here, and stroke.org has a really great infographic that I'm going to pop up right now, and we're going to go over it together. All right, so here's the graphic, and let's read through it together. Taking steps to prevent another stroke. Have you had a stroke? Unfortunately, that answer might be yes. And here we go. The risk of recurrent stroke, 6% at 1 year, 16% at 5, and 25% at 10 years. Oh, that's high. Have you experienced a TIA? TIA stands for transient ischemic attack. It's kind of a baby stroke, and usually the symptoms resolve. So if you've had kind of a baby stroke, the risk, not the risk, approximately 12% of all strokes are preceded by a TIA. So if you have a TIA, what is it, about a 1 in 10 chance that you might have a stroke? That's not too bad. I mean, not that TIAs are great. Have they identified the cause of the stroke? If they don't know why you had a stroke, it's time to get to thinking about it, because if you don't know why you had one, how can you help prevent another one? Is this an ischemic stroke? Who should be on an aspirin regimen? Now, this isn't your decision, but an ischemic stroke is when you have a clot of some sort. It could be a blood clot, it could be cholesterol or plaque coming up and getting your brain. That's the professional way to put it. And maybe that's something to talk to your doctor about. If you had an ischemic stroke, find out, did you have an ischemic stroke? And then find out what you can do to help prevent that. Do you have uncontrolled high blood pressure? That's a big one. High blood pressure. Here we go. It says treatment of hypertension is the most important intervention for secondary prevention of an ischemic stroke. If you are having high blood pressure, talk to your doctor. See what you can do to help decrease that blood pressure. Do you have diabetes? It says it's an independent risk factor for stroke reoccurrence. If you are unsure of what caused your stroke, go to the doctor, and maybe that's something you need to be evaluated for. Do you have high cholesterol? Get that checked out. See if there's something you can do about that too. Are you physically inactive? As I sit here talking to you on a couch. Well, I'll go for a walk later. It's a really nice day out there. Do you smoke? Unfortunately, quitting smoking is one of the hardest things I've heard. I've never been a smoker, but I've had friends who smoke, and I know that quitting is incredibly difficult. Oh, it even says current smokers have a 2 to 4 times increased risk of stroke compared with non-smokers. Wow, that's a big risk. Do you drink large amounts of alcohol? I feel like this is an unfair question to talk about in times of COVID. I'm just saying. It says light to moderate amounts of alcohol consumption, up to 2 drinks per day for men and up to 1 drink per day for non-pregnant women, should be okay. Do you have sleep apnea? Maybe you need a sleep study to see what's going on. Last one, do you have atrial fibrillation? Something you can be evaluated for, something you can have your doctor check out. Because even though you've had one stroke, we don't want you to have another one. So maybe there are some little changes you can make to help prevent the second stroke. Speaking of, let's talk about, and I got this from stroke.org. If you want to, you could actually use stroke.org for some speech therapy. Maybe we'll do that later. Yeah, maybe for reading comprehension, we'll read about strokes. Boop, idea. I need to write this down. Let's talk about stroke risks. High blood pressure. High blood pressure is the number 1 cause of stroke and the most important controllable risk factor for stroke. If you're supposed to be on medication for a stroke, stay on that medication. My dad, a couple years ago, sorry Dad, if you ever watch this, he won't. He told us that his blood pressure was well controlled by his medication, so he went off of it. How do you think I felt? Not great, because I knew this fact about high blood pressure, and I may have yelled a lot. But guess what? He went back on his meds, and that was 4 years ago, and he's still doing okay. Sorry to talk about your medical history, Pops. That's something to talk to your doctor about, or another time, my sister, who's a dietitian, I want her to come on here and discuss healthy eating for seniors. Ooh, I'm just excited about healthy eating. I'm excited about eating. Here we go, another one. Cigarette smoking. Cigarettes are a risk for stroke. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how bad all these things are for you. I just want to inform you, and then you can talk to your doctor. You can look into these things more so that you can make that decision as to how to prevent a second stroke, or how to prevent a stroke in the first place if you're just watching this. Oh, the next one is diabetes. We always talked about this one. We already talked about this one. Diabetes is a risk factor. Poor diet. Well, I don't want to talk about today. I had pork, and that's all I had today. No, I had some egg whites. There we go. Little good. And like I said, I want my sister to come on here and discuss with you how to have a better diet, because I think we can all benefit from that. I personally can't wait until I get to go back to mostly plant-based, because I really like vegetables, and my body just felt amazing when I was doing that. But not all diets are good for all people. We all have different bodies. We all have different reactions. We have to kind of find what the best thing is for us. Another one, physical inactivity. That's a big one. And I'm feeling kind of guilty because I've only taken 1,000 steps today because I was planning this, and then I had some Zoom calls, and I missed my walk already. Ooh. It's talking about obesity, but I'm not going to talk about that one because I think that is a conversation for somebody else, not me. High blood cholesterol is another risk factor for a stroke. These are things that you need to go to the doctor for so that they can measure your high cholesterol, measure your cholesterol to see if it's high. You can't tell just by looking at someone. You have to go to a doctor and do some blood tests. Last one, AFib, atrial fibrillation. And that's also something you can't just know. You have to go to a doctor. So really, I think part of stroke prevention is good health care and being able to go to your doctor when you need to, and getting a yearly physical if that's what you do, especially as you age, because your body just doesn't react the same as it did when you were younger. What do you think? Are you ready to prevent another stroke or your first one? Yes. What one is most important for you? The one that's most important for me is high blood pressure and physical activity. Okay, 2. Because my blood pressure was getting a little high last year, which is one of the reasons why I had surgery to lose weight, because that blood pressure was just inching up. And my family has a history of high blood pressure. I already told you about my dad. Sorry, Dad. So blood pressure is an important one for me. Diet, okay, they're all important, but really the most important one for me is physical activity. Physical activity, when I go to the gym, which we can't right now, it makes me feel good about myself. When I work out, my body feels like it can do anything. Well, and I know it can't, but moving my body feels good. And luckily, that's something that can help prevent a stroke. Woo! I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned a little bit about how to prevent a stroke. Really, it's about healthy living, which is hard because life is hard. And focusing on your own health isn't always possible. You can't do all of those things, which is why I asked you what the most important part was, the most important one to you was, because maybe you can't fix all 10 things at once, but maybe you could go for a walk for 30 minutes a day. Maybe you could wake up a little early and go for a walk around your neighborhood. That's usually what I do. And hopefully we'll all get together on this healthy journey and help prevent strokes. If my face pops up, which it has, please subscribe and let me know in the comments what's most important to you to help prevent a stroke.